Good morning, boys and girls. Today's lesson that we're going to discuss from your math journal on page 201 is Elbert's eggs. In this story problem, we are going to solve to see if there's a remainder, okay? So let's look at the story to see what we need to do. Elbert's Egg Emporium sells eggs in cartons of 1/2 dozen. Every morning, Elbert collects eggs that his hens lay and packs them into cartons. He packs as many full cartons as he can. If he has any left over, he eats those eggs for breakfast. Okay, so there's some information that we don't really need in here, but let's pay attention to the fact that they did give us a number into the amount of eggs that he puts in a carton. Okay, he says that he puts in a carton 1/2 dozen. Okay, from our illustration right here that they give us, 1/2 dozen is 6. So every carton will have 6 eggs in it that he can fill, right? If his hen has 12 eggs, he can fill 2 cartons, right? So let's see what our problem asks. Okay. One morning, Elbert collected 151 eggs. That's a lot of eggs. How many cartons did he need for the eggs? Show your work and be sure to include the units. Okay, so we're looking at trying to find out how many cartons can be filled with 151 eggs. Okay, take a minute to write the kind of equation that you think would go with this. Okay, how many times can we fill a carton of 6 if there's 151 eggs? So hopefully you came up with the equation of 151 eggs that need to be put in or divided into groups of 6, right, to fill the cartons. Okay, now we're going to put C. All right, so now you could do it a couple of different ways. You might say, well, I know that 60 eggs would be 10 cartons, right? And you could add up multiples, kind of like we did earlier in the chapter, right? That's 10 sixes, right? 11 sixes would be 66. That'd be 11 cartons. Or you could also practice our new cool method of partial quotient. All right, 151 divided by 6. I'm going to draw that line right down the side. Okay, so let's review and how we can do this. All right, we have to see how many times 6 can go into 151. All right, so let's start with part of the quotient. Okay, let's do an easy number that makes sense to you. So I often say that 5s and 10s are good places to start, sometimes 11s because you have that in your quick drive memory. So I'm going to ask, what large number do I know that 6 will easily divide into? Okay, I'm going to put down, well, I know 6 can go into 60. That's a for sure. I feel confident. I know that math fact. It can go into 60 10 times. Okay, so remember that's part of our answer. That's called partial quotient, right? Part of your quotient. So now I have to find out, okay, 151 take away 60. That leaves me with, carry down the 1, 15 take away 6, and I've got 91. That's still a pretty big number to do. So I'm going to go back to my math facts and think, what could 6 go into again? That's a pretty large number that I know off the top of my head. I could use 60 again, right? 10. Or maybe I'll try the 11, right? I know that 6 can go into 66 11 times, right? 11 is the quotient for 66 divided by 6, okay? So now I've got 91. I have to figure out the rest of this. Take away 66. 91 take away 66 puts me at 25. Now, I know my math facts pretty well, and I'm not sure 6 goes into 25 very well, right? 6 times 5 is 30, so it's got to be less than that. And 6 times 4 is 24. So let's start with 24. Okay, 6 goes into 24 4 times, right? So now I'm going to go 25, take away 24, and I've got 1. Well, that doesn't work out very well because 6 can't go into 1. So I'm going to stop right there. That's my key to find my quotient. Okay, I'm going to add up everything I've found so far. 10 plus 11 plus 4, and I've got 25. Okay, so my quotient here is 25, and I've got this 1 left over, that remainder of 1. What does he do with those leftover eggs? He has them for breakfast. So going back to our question number 1, how many cartons did he need for the eggs? We figured out that 151 eggs divided by 6, because 6 eggs fit in each carton, was 25 full cartons with the remainder of 1. Okay, so your answer with the unit included would be 25 cartons. Okay, with 1 egg left over. So question 2 here is almost answered by question 1. It says, how many eggs did Elbert eat for breakfast? Well, we found out that because there was only 1 leftover egg, there would be 1 for him to eat, right? So how could you explain this? What would you say with what he did with the eggs? Pause the video and see if you can write an explanation that you like. Okay, so what I wrote down to explain with units is that Elbert ate the 1 egg that was left over after he put 150 eggs into 25 cartons with 6 eggs each. So I have here the fact that he ate the leftover egg, and I also included the details that he had 150 eggs in 25 cartons with 6 eggs each. Okay? So today when we meet for our conference call, we're just going to go over this and discuss how you're going to practice this again for Tuesday, but it's with a problem that I've put on the S'more site. It's called Fruit Baskets. It's actually something from the teacher's book that you do not have in your math journal.